double tetrahedron, like a Merkaba, that after we went into deep meditation and after the puja, we then expanded in this Merkaba out through the Earth and out through our solar system and the Milky Way, and then out through intergalactic space and then the entire cosmos. And then as we came back in this Merkaba, we were asking all these higher intelligent civilizations and interstellar civilizations to come back with us. And we came back in this astral Merkaba, this double, if you look at a tetrahedron and put them together, and it was spinning where the top was spinning counterclockwise and the bottom was spinning clockwise. And the Merkaba was actually created by the mantra we use, which is a 3-syllable mantra that has tonality. Da, 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 da. And actually all of this is on the website if you want to get this meditation with this mantra. So as we created this Merkaba with the mantra, people connected and traveled in this Merkaba throughout the cosmos and then came back. And after we came back, the most astonishing series of things began to happen that lasted literally for 3 hours.
Yes. That I've got to say that you doing the Merkaba during that meditation was probably the most powerful one that you've done yet. It was unbelievably powerful, and I think everybody felt it. So that was the setting for what happened later. Okay, and I think what happened then was we began seeing, or Stephen and another fellow began seeing lights over the Gulf and over some mangroves that were in the distance, and they were seeing a lot of lights through their night scopes. Now, most of us, none of us had, except for the two of them, had night scopes. So we did not see the hundreds of lights that they saw. But I saw quite a few out in the sky and out over the mangroves. I saw hundreds of lights myself, but they were at ground level and over the water in the lagoon.
Right.
And the lights that I saw that were near the mangroves, further away from us, I felt were craft. And the lights that came closer to us, to our circle, and came into the circle were beings.
Yes, they were ET beings that were in this sort of electronic astral projection phase, just like the picture we have from Joshua Tree from 2009 of this ET that visited us from the Andromeda Galaxy that is actually up on our website.
So, I did not see as many lights as you did, Steve. I wish I could have, but I just couldn't, because with my naked eye, I saw a fraction of the ones that you saw. But, these other lights and things were just hundreds for me to see. And, okay, so that started. And during a time when we were quiet and we were seeing, I saw off in the distance at the edge of the lagoon, a group of energy forms, and they moved toward us, toward our circle. And then they came and came within, I would say, what's on the other side of that little reed island? What was that, about 30 feet, 20 feet?
Yeah, yes, about that, yeah.
Yeah, and they came behind this little reed island that was near our circle, and then I didn't see them anymore. And then later on, when after a break, I think it was after the break, we were seeing so many things out there on the sand, And Steve got up, and he went out toward the lagoon. He left the circle, and he walked out into the sound. And when he did that, I saw this group of entities that I had seen, go behind the island. They came out from behind the island there. They came across the little reed island, and they got behind Steve. And they made a semicircle, and they followed Steve out onto the sand.
Right.
And that's what I saw. That was pretty amazing. And they were with him as he went out into the to the sand area there to do his work.
And while all this was happening, what I want to describe that was being seen by everyone on the team saw some of these. Some saw more than others, depending on how tall they were and also whether they had binoculars. But in the looking towards the Gulf, now there's no buildings there are no lights. It was just the state beach. If I can, and we're on a radio show, so I have to kind of describe the setting. Out where we were facing, there was the beach, and then there was a little lagoon and some mangroves, and then beyond that, the Gulf of Mexico. And the mangroves were maybe a football field away. This is a distance, maybe 100 to 150 yards, because during the daytime you could actually walk across this little lagoon to them. What was fascinating is that after we did this double tetrahedron meditation with what they call a Merkaba, and the Merkaba was made by the mantra that was given to us at Crestone, where we're going to be in June, by the way. It's a very powerful meditation. I felt that there was not just some ETs came, but that, and this is another member of the team who saw this, that every civilization that could reach Earth joined in that meditation, because we did a meditation for the healing of the Earth and for universal peace, and that they were there in a sort of etheric and astral energy form, but had come in a massive vortex. And in fact, the area where we saw these brilliant white lights that would just appear in the sky or even in front of these mangrove bushes that were maybe 100 yards away or 150 yards away, they would appear and then swirl and then go back up into this vortex area. And it was an area that covered at least 1 to 2 miles. It was not just one little area. It went from left to right. If you're facing out towards the Gulf where we were, it literally covered 1 or 2 miles of beach area. And there were people. We have a man that was there from Puerto Rico who did not have night vision, and he saw hundreds of these because he was on our side of the circle, a little bit up on an embankment where he could get a little higher view. And these were clearly nothing man-made, and they were certainly very, very, very close. We do have these on videotape. We have an excellent video camera, and the man who was operating that, I haven't gotten up with him yet to see how much of this actually got on videotape. But if you can visualize a massive vortex 1 or 2 miles across that had within it, folded within space-time transdimensionally, literally thousands, and I'm not exaggerating, thousands of representatives from civilizations. And what they did is that they kept materializing as these beautiful lights that were seen with the naked eye and also with our night scopes. They kept emerging and appearing and then vanishing into this one area out over the mangroves and over the Gulf of Mexico. It was unbelievably astonishing. And this is not something that lasted for a few seconds. This was 3 hours of this. And so over the course of that time, I saw somewhere on the order of several hundred of them. And some people saw fewer who didn't have any binoculars or night scopes, and some people saw something in between, depending on where you were looking, because it was such a large area to see over. And we also had still photography that caught some very interesting objects as well during this time. And then what was happening is that there were these I call it electronic astral projection. Those of you who've had a flying lucid dream, where you're kind of flying over a place, that's your astral body, your body of light. But the extraterrestrial civilizations, when they're going faster than the speed of light, their spacecraft, their bodies, everything is in an energy form that approximates. It's very close to the astral, and that's why it's interdimensional travel. But they can actually then be in that form, and instead of fully materializing in the flesh, they can appear on the beach with us as these scintillating lit forms, but it isn't just like a sparkle of light or an orb. You actually see a vertical area where a being is. And I saw many, many, many of them that were on the beach, and so did other people on the team. And I think that's what you're describing, Trudy. You actually saw these beings that were extraterrestrial, and they were there. Of course, a lot of people say, why don't they just fully materialize? And I said, well, when you hear what happened the next night, you'll understand why. But we'll get to that in a moment. But this particular night was really, we've been telling people for a long time that we're coming to sort of a crescendo of contact where this subject is going to be unveiled massively, and there have got to be people who are prepared to make contact peacefully, who can educate the people that they know why these ETs are here, what we should do to interact with them, and how to interact with them appropriately. And that's what these training expeditions are for. And for those of you who can't come to them, there is now a training program on the disclosureproject.org. Disclosureproject.org is the website where you can go and get this program that has all this information and meditations and the tones that you need to broadcast and how you do this. But there's nothing like being there if you can be there. And that's when these beings were there, and when I went out to greet them, I literally at times felt like I was going to vanish. And some people looking at me saw me as if they could see through me. There is actually a photograph where I actually do become transparent in it.
One thing I would like to say, when Steve walked out onto the sand and was greeting our friends, I was standing there, and suddenly, in total physical form, I saw two ETs walking toward me in full stride. I saw them for a couple of seconds.
Right.
Physically there. They were
fully materialized, yes.
Fully materialized, but only for a couple of seconds. And it
was in the same area and it was in the same area where I had heard them walking near the grass island, the reed island.
But I recognized the two people, two tall men, humanoid, male, about between 6 and 7 feet tall. And as the two of the 4 people that we had seen in physical form in 2006 at Joshua Tree.
Right.
And it was those 2 people that I saw that night. So that was amazing.
It is amazing. And this is what was going on. All this was going on for 3 hours, various components of this. And, excuse me, the other thing that happened is that there was an ET that came in and began to interact with this magnetometer that was between me and a member of our team named Emery. And he and I have this connection with this one ET that started actually in France, where they actually come into the circuitry of the magnetometer and will start beating and pulsing almost like a heartbeat. And a magnetometer is something that picks up the magnetic field fluxing. And if you're out in a wilderness area, there should be no magnetic field fluxing unless you put a machine near this detector. And we didn't have any motors or machines out there. And we had this happen, and whenever it happens, then we'll get quite excited about it, and the magnetometer will literally go off the scale. And this is also what happened. And you can actually feel the energy of these extraterrestrial, transdimensional beings that are there that intimately and that close to us. So there were so many experiences that all the different